This is Government and Public Service Reports on Atlantic Television Network. Welcome. Your first time, GAPS is a news package centering on events and stories abounding in the system of the country. Born out of ATN's appetite for in-depth, unbiased and factual reportage to bring government activities right to your doorstep, we begin with the highlights, shall we? In Rivers State, government awards contract for Okania-Ogbogoro Road. In Abia State, governor's wife commends AMPA for child mortality intervention. In Anambra State, fears envelope Akwai Hedi community overbridge incident. Federal government and NNPCL pronounce claims of subsidy removal force. CAI arrest at least 12 for squatting on petroleum bridges. Lydia Simon rescued from the Chibok girls' attacks. These and many more after this short break. Stay with us.
People into the country illegally. That is amazing.
Honorable
you human trafficker.
Honorable They are not picking our calls. They made up their mind.
So no agreement with the EU, but
Welcome to GAPS. Now the details. Rivers State government on Wednesday approved the contract for the construction of the Okania-Ogbogoro Road project in Obiakpo local government area. The road project, which is awarded to CCEC, was initially handled by Messrs. Nugi Limited. The council re-awarded the project at a cost of 6.7 billion naira worth of 40% down payment. This was the outcome of the second state executive council meeting in 2024 held on Wednesday at the Exco Chamber of the Government House in Port Harcourt, presided over by Governor Siminalayi Fubara. Addressing newsmen shortly after the council meeting, the Commissioner for Information and Communications, Joe Johnson, alongside the Permanent Secretary Ministry of Works, Engineer Atemia Briggs, and the Acting Director of Bureau of Public Procurement, Dr. Inet Tamuno Prinye Briggs, stated that the project is to ease traffic from Okania through Ogbogoro to Ozuaba as a result of the ongoing work on the Port Harcourt Ring Road project. He further said the project will be funded from the state's internally generated revenue without borrowing. Moving on now, Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara has assured Nigerians, members of the Actors Guild of Nigeria and Nollywood practitioners, that deserving honor would be bestowed upon Precious Chimobi Ofurum, a Rivers indigene tragically involved in the recent Asaba boat mishap. During a visit to Government House, Port Harcourt on Wednesday, the governor, represented by the head of Rivers State Civil Service, Dr. George Weke, expressed heartfelt condolences to the family of the late actor and commended the solidarity demonstrated by the Nollywood community. Governor Fubara emphasized the exemplary nature of Precious Chimobi Ofurum's character, noting his dedication to Nigeria and his determination to succeed within the country. Highlighting his administration's commitment, he reiterated his dedication to making Rivers State proud and pledged to honor the memory of Precious Chimobi Ofurum.
The governor is a very development-friendly governor. He is a youth like you. Our governor is one person that loves to make the state proud, and he's happy when people from our state achieve one particular thing or the other. He's one person that comes to identify with them. So even in death, I can assure you that the governor will also do great honor to our departed son. Gracious offer.
In his remarks, Rivers State President of Nollywood Osunwe Kenneth recounted the tragic incident that claimed the lives of several actors returning from a movie set in Asaba, Delta State. He expressed gratitude for the governor's response and hoped that the state government would act swiftly to provide comfort to the bereaved family.
We're here because we lost one of our Nollywood practitioners. Someone that is an expert from Delta State to practice film industry, in the film industry. Today, you can see the enormous crowd that came out here today because it's our tradition to, do this procession for the burial of our own. As a result of this, we had to make a walk to Government House to let them know that Nollywood lost somebody in that Sahab in Asaba. And that's why we are here today. And to God be the glory, blessed by the officials of the government. And we are also glad that
other fleeing members of his gang as investigation continues. Moving on now, the Rivers State Police Command. All right. The Rivers State Police Command has intensified the onslaught against cultism and other violent crimes and has arrested notorious Dagbam called hitman Lucky Mene called Federal Witch, aged 26 years. A statement by Public Relations Officer of the Rivers State Police Command, Grace Iringe Koko, on Wednesday disclosed that operatives of the command attached to Core Division in collaboration with the local vigilante group arrested the notorious cultist Kingpin Federal Witch, a native of the Bodo community in Gokana local government area of the state. SP Koko said the suspect has made a useful statement that will lead to arrest of other fleeing members of his gang as investigation continues. Moving on now to Abia State, wife of the governor, Mrs. Priscilla Oti, in a statement on Wednesday, commended the Association of Nigerian Physicians in America for its intervention in the reduction of child mortality in the state and past support during her one-week medical outreach in the state, which culminated in the training of health workers to avoid further casualty, adding that some lives have been lost and many injured in what he calls the periodic circumstances. Moving to Bayelsa now, Governor Duye Diri has visited Igbo Moturu community in southern Ijo local government area after alleged military invasion of the community in search of suspected killers of 17 military personnel in Okwama, Delta State on March 14. Diri's visit came 1 month after the military invaded the riverine community on March 17. A minute silence was observed in honor of the slain soldiers. Addressing the leadership and cross-section of the community at Igbo Motsoru Town Hall, Diri condemned the brutal killing of the soldiers, regretting that it was unfortunate that what happened in Delta State was being felt by the community, by the people of the community. They urged the military authorities to continue with painstaking investigation to unveil the killers and their sponsors, adding that all those involved must be brought to book to face the full wrath of the law. Other stories now. Justice Irele Fije of the Edo State High Court, Benin City, has sentenced 3 persons to death by hanging for armed robbery, kidnapping, and murder of one Ephraim Akere. Justice Ifije also sentenced one Oviasoje Sunday, alias Alhaji of Kano, to life imprisonment for receiving an Infinity Jeep, property of the late Ephraim, which was stolen after the murder. The convicts were among the 6 persons arraigned before Justice Irele Ifije on a 6-count charge of armed robbery, kidnapping, conspiracy, and receipt of stolen property. In her judgment, Justice Ifije ruled that the kidnappers rode on a motorcycle armed with dangerous weapons, kidnapped their victims, and asked Ephraim, the driver, and Sandra to move to the back seat and lower their heads while Solomon took over the driver's seat. Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps Anambra State Command has arrested 2 suspects for allegedly engaging in illegal mining activities in the state. While parading the suspects on Wednesday in Awka, the NSCDC commandant in the state, Olatunde Mako, said the suspects were arrested following credible intelligence. Mako said his team arrested Madueke Akpuchuku, 53, from Awomama in Oru East local government area of Imo State, and Chimezie Ezenduka of number 4 Mekus Drive Federal Housing, Onitsha. According to him, the suspects were arrested at Igbariam while conveying suspected 600 bags of solid mineral kaolin without a relevant permit. Marcus said illegal mining had been prohibited in Anambra under Governor Chukwuma Soludo's administration to block revenue leakage. Justice Irele Fije of the State High Court again has sentenced 3 persons to death by hanging for armed robbery and kidnapping and murder of Ephraim Akere. Moving on now to other stories, Chief Magistrate's Court in Badagry, Lagos State on Wednesday ordered that a 20-year-old man, Peter Ezekiel, who allegedly abducted and defied a 14-year-old, be remanded in a correctional center. The police charged Ezekiel, whose address was not provided, with 2 counts of abduction and defilement. Chief Magistrate Patrick Adekomaya, who did not take Ezekiel's plea, ordered that he be remanded in a correction center pending when bail would be granted in a high court. Earlier, the prosecution counsel inspector told the court that Ezekiel committed the offense sometime in December 2023 at bakery area of Ashipa, semi-border Badagry, Lagos State. The offense said he said contravened the provisions of sections 411, 269, 261, and 263 of the 411 of the Criminal Law of Lagos State 2015. Mobile court sitting in the Oshodi area of Lagos has sentenced 13 individuals to 9 months imprisonment for disturbing the peace and for unlawful conversion of government property. This was disclosed by the State Commissioner of Environment and Water Resources, Tokumbo Wahab, in a post on his verified X handle. He had earlier written that, and I quote, 28 individuals were apprehended this morning at Oshodi and Ladipo for not using the pedestrian bridge. They have been charged to court for prosecution. Iyaganku Chief Magistrate's Court in Ibadan has ordered the remand of 29 suspected Yoruba Nation agitators for invading the premises of the Oyo State Secretariat in Ibadan on Saturday. The defendants were arraigned on Wednesday for their various involvements in the failed invasion of the Secretariat and the Governor's office. Recall that some masked persons invaded the State Secretariat to hoist the nation flag before they were demobilized by joint security personnel. The defendants faced a 7-count charge bordering on conspiracy, treasonable felony, belonging to unlawful society, going armed in public, conduct likely to cause breach of peace, and unlawful possession of firearms. The suspects, including a young woman and 5 elderly women, were remanded by Chief Magistrate Olabisi Ogukomi at the Agodi Correctional Center in Ibadan. Ogukomi thereafter adjourned the matter till August the 1st for mention. Jos Magistrates Court on Wednesday sentenced a 28-year-old businessman, Peter Sunday, to 1 year imprisonment for stealing vehicle parts valued at 200,000 naira. The magistrate Shawami Bokos summarily sentenced Sunday after he pleaded guilty to the charge. Bokos, however, gave the convict an option to pay 30,000 and a compensation of 100,000 naira to the complainant. The magistrate held that the punishment would serve as a deterrent to other would-be offenders. Earlier, the prosecutor, Inspector Labaran Ahmed, told the court that the case was reported on March 19 at the B police station, Bukuru, by one Stephen Dong, the complainant. The prosecutor alleged that the convict had trespassed into a mechanic workshop and stolen the gearbox. And now to Kaduna State, where the police command has arrested 3 suspected street gang members believed to be terrorizing the residents of Basawa area of Sabongari, Zaria local government area. The command spokesman, ASP Mansur Hassan, confirmed the arrest in an interview with newsmen on Wednesday in Kaduna, saying that the suspects were arrested on Tuesday at about 1600 hours. According to him, when a sports search was conducted on the suspects, 3 sharp stainless cutlasses and 1 fork-sharp knife concealed under their clothes were recovered from them. Hassan said upon interrogation, the suspects failed to state what they were doing with the dangerous weapons found on them. He said investigation conducted by the operatives revealed that the suspects were members of a syndicate that had been terrorizing residents of Basawa and its environs. He said following these findings, the 3 suspects were promptly charged to court for prosecution. Kano Electricity Distribution Company has concluded plans to invest 1.2 billion naira in network expansion and improvement in power supply to the famous Dawanau International Grains Market in Kano. This was contained in a statement by the head of corporate communications at KETCO, Sani Balasani, and made available to newsmen on Wednesday. He said the expansion and power generation are some of the company's major plans to improve power supply in an accelerated fashion, especially in areas such as Dawano International Grains Market, being the largest in sub-Saharan Africa with numerous cottage industries. According to him, the company is prioritizing the Dawano project amongst a string of similar projects due to its current dilapidated network, leaving the area undeserved. In his remarks, the company's chief technical officer, engineer Inua Daneji, said upon completion of the project, we forecast an increase in energy offtake by 200% and an equivalent growth in revenue for KETCO. Moving on now, Nigerian Defense Academy in Kaduna has called on residents of Mando, Samiya, Kauya, and Afaka general areas not to panic over a scheduled shooting exercise. A statement by the NDA Public Relations Officer Major Mohammed Maidawa on Wednesday in Kaduna to be held from April 18 to April 20 and from April 26 to April 27. The NDA assures the general public that all necessary safety measures have been put in place. Pepe and raping a housewife in Ringim local government area of the state. Spokesman of the command, DSP Lawan Shisu Adam, confirmed the incident in a statement. He said the incident occurred on Sunday at about 200 hours in Chori village, Ringim local government area, when 3 unknown persons armed with cutlasses trespassed into a house, attacked and robbed the husband of acts of Pepe. Later, one of the robbers raped his wife. Of the report, detectives attached to Ringim Division swung into action, where one Abubakar Issa, 25 years, Umar Ibrahim, 25 years, and Umar Nasara, 30 years, all of Chori village, Ringim local government area, were arrested in connection with the crime. DSP Shisu said on interrogation, the suspects confessed to the commission of the crime and were immediately transferred to SCID Dutse for discreet investigation. He said the suspects, through our social media handles, our ATN socials, Facebook and YouTube Atlantic Television Network, Instagram and TikTok Atlantic TV Network 1, X formerly Twitter Atlantic TV Net. Watch us live on our YouTube channel, on our website Atlantic Television, Atlantic Network.tv. Stay with us. All right, moving on now. Federal government of Nigeria, in collaboration with the Centers for Disease Control, together with Caritas Nigeria and other
The Director General, National Agency for Control of AIDS, NACA, Dr. Temitope Ilori, said Nigeria is making effort at the national and subnational level involving CSOs, NGOs, and commissioners of health in all states to make sure that HIV/AIDS is wiped out of Nigeria.
Because it's good to know your status so that you can access health care. For instance, the global response says there is need to have epidemic control of HIV by the year 2030. We are very much concerned with the grassroots, and there are lots of mobilization going on. We are also involved with the community, working together and collaborating even with people living with HIV/AIDS. We are using the CSO, the Federation are here by represented even at this forum.
Why Dr. Abu Tairu, Honorable Commissioner of Health, Gombe State, attributed that Nigeria is aware that one day U.S. Center for Disease Control will leave Nigeria, and therefore the health sector is putting measures in place to sustain programs and projects done by the United States CDC by finding solutions to funding and political wills.
We do know that at the end, after some time, CDC will leave Nigeria. So if they do, what is Nigeria, or at the subnational level, what are our plans to sustain these programs and projects that CDC is doing? So with this meeting, it will give us an insight as to what we need to do, how we're doing it, and what gaps are there for us to bridge. Solutions are provided here, and the solutions, once they are provided here, we go back and we take them up. A key thing is funding, and any program that lacks funding will not be eventually this. Then the political
subsidy had ceased to exist, and urged those who allege that the government was still subsidizing the commodity to provide evidence and facts. Moving on, the Lagos State Safety Commission has sealed 2 shops in front of a transformer on Martin Street off Broad Street due to safety violations. The Director General of the Safety Commission, Lanre Mojola, said the 2 lock-up shops were sealed following a petition from a concerned member of the public alleging that the shops violated safety rules and regulations. According to him, the Commission has a mandate to ensure the safety of lives and property in the state. A statement on Wednesday noted that Mojola said the 2 shops were sealed in response to the petition received by the Commission from a concerned resident about a transformer located directly in front of the shops at 148 Broad Street, Marina, Lagos. The Commissioner for Special Duties and Intergovernmental Relations, Benga Oyerinde, said the shops were sealed to protect the lives and property of the residents and to save them from fire incidents and explosions. To Lagos environment now, where the Environmental Sanitation Corps, popularly known as KAI, has arrested no fewer than 12 persons for squatting on pedestrian bridges. The State Commissioner for Environment and Water Resources, Tokumbo Wahab, said this on Wednesday in a post on X. Wahab wrote, and I quote, "The operatives of the Lagos State Environmental Sanitation Corps today conducted clearance operations on the pedestrian bridges at Ikate, Elegushi, and Agungi along Aja. 12 miscreants were arrested for sleeping on the bridge and inside the opening under the bridge at Ikate, Elegushi. The pedestrian bridge has been cleaned by Loma government and is safe for use," end of quote. Meanwhile, a Lagos-based lawyer, Festus Ogun, tackled the commissioner over what he described as punishing the poor for being homeless. The suspects, after their conviction, were each sentenced to 5 months imprisonment by the court, according to Lagask. You're watching Government and Public Service Reports right here on Atlantic Television Network. We'll be right back right after this break.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, social economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
Honorable Steele,
You understand?
on there. They are not picking our calls. They made up their minds.
So no agreement with the EU, but
Welcome back to Government and Public Service Reports on Atlantic Television Network. Now to the rest of our stories. President Bola Tinubu says those who think they can threaten the sovereignty of the country will have themselves to blame. The president stated this when he met with a pan-Yoruba social political group Afenifere at the presidential villa Abuja on Wednesday. The group was led by its leader, Pariuben Fasoranti. President Tinubu said his administration is tackling the mirage of security challenges in the country, including terrorism and banditry. He said, unlike in the years past, where insurgents laid claim to parts of the country, terrorism has been significantly degraded. He insisted that his government will never pay ransom to kidnappers, citing the case of the rescue of the Kuriga students in Kaduna State as an example. Moving on now. Wife of the President, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, on Tuesday reiterated the federal government's commitment to empowering women for sustainable development and food security. This was as she presented checks of 10 million naira each to the 6 southwest states of Ogun, Lagos, Osun, Oyo, Ondo, and Ekiti for onward disbursements to 120 women farmers selected across the states. She disclosed this at the launch of the Renewed Hope Initiative Women Agricultural Support Program for the Southwest, as well as the flag-off of the 2024 planting season for Ogun State, held at the June 12 Cultural Center, Kuto, Abeokuta. At the event, Mrs. Tinubu announced a cash grant of 100,000 naira each for 100 people living with disabilities in Ogun State to make lives more bearable for them. She said the flag-off of the program was being done simultaneously in Plateau State for the North Central, Borno State for the Northeast, and Kebbi State for the Northwest geopolitical zones. She urged the women farmers beneficiaries to expand their farming entrepreneurship, improve on their contribution to national and local food production, and serve as role models to aspiring women in the country. Moving on now to other news, National Emergency Management Agency has begun to put in place proactive measures to mitigate climate impact as well as flooding in the year 2024. Professor Joseph Yutsev, the Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation, had cautioned that 148 local government areas across 31 states are among the highly probable flood risk areas for 2024. In her remarks at the experts' technical meeting of stakeholders to analyze the 2024 seasonal calamities. Their petition was presented to the House Committee on Public Petitions in Abuja. The Cameroonian refugees, professors and professionals were arrested in Nera Hotel in Abuja on January the 5th, 2018 by security agents and later repatriated to Cameroon, tried by a military tribunal and sentenced to life imprisonment at Kondengui Maximum Security Detention Facility. In their petition, the asylum seekers in Nigeria pleaded with House to among others, caused the government of Nigeria to institute an urgent action to secure
these people because there were no charges. The 11 charges in Cameroon were charges that had to do with terrorism, with secession, with the failure to carry an ID card, sponsoring of terrorism, and your question was whether the offenses were committed here or in Nigeria or in Cameroon. offenses were never committed, neither here nor